What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hollywood Already Did It, your podcast for whenever movies are rebooted, remade, sequelized, adapted, or otherwise not new. As always, I'm your host, Blake Schultz, and with me is Terrence Tatum.
Hello, everyone.
And as we do whenever there's a new movie, I don't say weekly anymore because who knows? We try to answer that fun question of why are we still here doing this? Why are we still watching the dinosaurs run real fast? Which of course means this week we're talking about Jurassic World Dominion, the third and in the biggest air quotes I can find final chapter of the Jurassic World / Jurassic Park / we got to keep that right at Universal Relevance franchise, starring Chris Pratt and every legacy character you know and love, and even that rascal Blue is back. Terrence, what did you think of this one?
Oh boy. I do not really care that much or have much affinity for the Jurassic World era of the Jurassic Park series. And so this one falls sort of in between the other two. I can take more of the original Jurassic World, and that last one was just terrible. This movie is a bit of a mess. I can go hot and cold. The action sequences, I think there are some really cool looking action sequences in this movie. The problem is that I never feel like anyone is in true peril, and I don't care about any of these characters like at all. Some of that's because they weren't built up from the previous films, and I didn't care about them then. But like Owen and Claire, they have a lower thing. It's more about them getting to their kid, which is cool. But you would think that I would care about that, but I don't care about that either. The legacy characters come back, get thrown in there. I'm like, to the point where in the back end of this film, I started rolling my eyes because they would put our characters in peril, but it would be like a chain link fence of like 7 or 8 people at one time, all going through peril, and they would all make it. I'm like, well, now this just seems goofy, guys. So as this movie kept going along, I started caring less and less about anything, and it felt like I was doing more of I'm watching someone give me the greatest hits of everything that's ever existed in Jurassic Park, and take it or leave it. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, that's what you're here for. And I'm like, I'm not. For me, the best parts of this movie were the very opening and the very ending. Because that's where I felt the meat and potatoes of what I was interested in. Well, show me the world of when these dinosaurs have to be on the same planet, same world as us, and see how we interact. That's the sweet spot. Everything else that they gave us in between, it's like, sure, I guess we're just gonna do the greatest hits again and get out of here.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. I think there were 5 storylines going on, and I really enjoyed 2 or 3 of them. I'm with you. That opening was my favorite part. It did exactly what I really wanted it to do after the second one, where I was like, we should just be making smaller Jurassic World movies now, and it should be weird things like these kids have detention like in the Breakfast Club, but there's also a raptor outside. Like
Right.
that's kind of what I was hoping for. I was like, I just want a pterodactyl affecting a cul-de-sac. I just now want like weird dumb genres with a dinosaur in it.
Yeah.
I want an Ocean's 11 movie, and part of their plan involves like a stegosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
That's now what I want. Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As we adapt to it, rather than this just news around the world clip show in the beginning with like crazy, just like
nuts.
And though, that also set the tone for the rest of the movie for me, because that happened, and some of the stuff was like nuts. This giant water dinosaur biting the big ship. Some of it was comedic. People were running and just getting like popped by dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell if it meant we were about to do some campy B Jurassic Park movie and just get really silly. And I think we sort of did, because a lot of this movie feels like a campy B movie. And full on spoilers, I am of course talking about these giant insects that we now have, and we've got this aerial defense system that just is a little button you have to press, and then the flying dinosaurs don't see you. I was like, for every badass moment, there was one just stupid, silly thing. And I was like, if we just lean into the nonsense.
I don't know who thought, hey, these people won't think dinosaurs are cool enough. Locusts.
Yeah, it's funny because they did another thing I wanted after 2. Because after 2, we've got this cloned girl, and I said, okay, if we've now evolved the science past dinosaurs, dinosaurs are no longer interesting.
They're irrelevant. Yeah,
they're irrelevant. It's because and this has now happened in all of these movies that were once really impressive. Because when we saw the first Jurassic Park movie, we watched our leads stand out of a car and take off their glasses, and the camera had to physically zoom out to see this giant brontosaurus, and it was incredible.
Mhm.
And our cast was wowed, the audience was wowed. And then, like The Matrix, which was incredible when everyone saw Neo dodge, but then Neo and the characters in The Matrix got used to it.
Yeah.
And then we also kind of stopped caring. And I think
Right.
that's how the dinosaurs are in this movie now. The cast isn't impressed. The legacy characters know what to do. Jeff Goldblum can now go toe to toe with a T-Rex. Chris Pratt can now like do his little hand trick and stop T-Rexes he doesn't know.
So can everybody else, apparently.
After 2 movies of him being like, I can only do this because of a deep, intimate bond, we're now just doing it to strangers. And then anyone can do it. Clone Girl can do it. Alan Grant can do it. All you need to stop a dinosaur is a firm
just put your hand. Stop. Yeah.
Ridiculous. But like they kind of with the locust, I was like, well, God, this is exactly what I asked for. I wanted new science and to see where it would go. Did it have to be giant insects? Did it have to be this weird, the most obvious corporate espionage?
Yeah, I think that's the problem that I had with the locusts. Locusts themselves aren't that big of an issue. It's just that the whole story was based around that. So it's like this whole corporate espionage, and then we essentially get them back to a park again. An Apple style version of the park, but it's still a Jurassic Park. I'm like, oh, so that's all this locust was literally just to get everybody back here and to put them in one place together. I guess.
It was very interesting that for World, the most zoomed out Jurassic Park we've had, they're now everywhere. We spent so much time almost like so shrunk down.
Yeah.
Which, like, to be fair, power's out. We got to turn something on. We got to solve the very Jurassic Park 1.
Super Jurassic Park 1.
That stuff I really dug. When we
did too.
Get intimate, I liked it. What I didn't really care for were these giant motorcycle sequences, these globe trotting. We just do the Bourne ultimatum for a
never
while.
Felt like I was like, oh, these are decent looking sequences, but I don't feel like we're not in any type of danger. Like, I know we're not about to remove Owen off this board. So none of this, you're just doing this now because you're like, hey, look what cool things we can do with a Velociraptor and bike. It just has nothing to do. The story is irrelevant. Why are we continuing this black market dinosaur thing still? Who knows? It had nothing to, like we that was the last time we ever heard of that for the rest of the movie. So it's like this doesn't matter at all anymore.
Yeah, and that's like, but and so weirdly, I'm like, that's kind of what I want now. Like, I want to get into like the weird stuff everyone's doing with dinosaurs existing, and we're just, like I said, the most obvious who's the villain. It's these locusts have eaten all the crops, and Laura Dern is just like, why didn't they eat those ones? Oh, those are biocen crops. I wonder who the villain's going to be.
Immediately, as soon as he comes on the screen, you're like, well, that's him. That's the one. That's the bad guy right there.
Yeah, it's like, that's it. The umbrella. And we kind of go back to Michael Crichton's books. We're ripping off Resident Evil at the same time.
It's definitely Resident Evil, yep.
And all of these I should love. I should love that we're like back to the books and we're back to a park and we're doing new stuff with the technology but they just go out of their way to make it so goofy.
It is.
We're now full on talking to Blue, but scared, and her child is gone, and Chris Pratt is gonna sacrifice and burn. He doesn't even care about the clone girl. That's not why he's there.
No.
Which is so weird.
He's there more for Blue's kid. Yeah, it's weird. I will say this. I know I'm beating up on the film. deservingly. But there are a couple of things that I did. Like, I really like Bryce Dallas Howard in this, and I think of all the people in this new trilogy that sort of had at least some type of an arc, she is very different now than she was at the very beginning of that. She had two nephews coming to visit her at the Jurassic World. She could not give a rat's ass about. Like, she didn't care about them, to the point now where she's giving up her life or putting herself in peril for this daughter, who's her clone daughter, but it's still her. For her, it's her daughter,
but also not really a clone daughter, a perfect human.
Human.
The movie was basically the pros of eugenics, which is
Yes.
also concerning.
Have you considered
especially
killing yourself or dying, but then cloning yourself and fixing yourself to make yourself the next version, the best version of you ever?
It got very like not Skyfall, No Time to Die, where he's like, I've now made the Locust a version of the Locust that when near other ones will kill them, which is very like when No Time to Die was like, we're going to do a disease, but you're the bomb and everyone you go near dies now. I was like, that's a very, they keep introducing science that I'm like, that's a dangerous thing to have in the world. That's not, we should not have a little vial that's like, if I put this in you,
and they
everyone like you
dies.
dies.
And they introduced it with what felt like, as we're at the end of this, so you're never going to explain this again. You're just putting this out there because we got like 20 minutes left in this movie.
It's very like, nobody has learned their lesson, and that lesson used to be dinosaurs will break out of the park.
Yeah.
The lesson now is Jeff Goldblum in the first one going, you just wanted to do it, so you didn't think about if we, because they just keep now introducing technology that, like, even in the best hands is still pretty evil.
Yeah.
Like even best case scenario, you've created a way to cause mass extinction.
They keep bringing Dr. Henry Wu along, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's the doctor." And Ian is the only one that's like, "No, that's the bad guy." I'm like, he's correct.
Guys, don't worry. I now have a genetic bomb, like the nuke I'm using for defense. And as we all know, the nuclear bomb has never been used the wrong way.
Always been used correctly.
Dynamite only used to find gold. It'll be great. It's the most just like, how have none of you, come on, guys, you're all scientists.
It's just so oddly and poorly written, and kind of like, what are we doing? I will say, I did mention the other part. I liked DeWanda Wise a lot as Kayla.
Yeah.
Like, I liked that character. I wish I got more of her, because I was like, you're the only one who seems to be doing something correct here.
Oh yeah, no, she's figuring everything out. She's like Stranger Things. She's doing all the work.
Yeah.
Like Nancy in this new season, she's the only one doing any effort to make anything better. She's like, there's always just one character now. And I think this is the problem when you have so many people on the board, is like only one of you is trying to do anything. Yeah. The rest of you are all just like preaching your point of view. Like even Jeff Goldblum, who I loved in this, starts off as like, I can't help you, but actually I can. Here's the key card. And now I'm gone.
And now you won't see me for 30 minutes.
I was like, what? He's just going to like give them the key and then...
You're on your own. Good luck.
I mean, and the way people are getting around, this like assistant who has this one-on-one with the villain to be like, I'm not you, and then just appears with our cast.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm the only one. I had no idea how time and space worked in this, like where things were in location to each other.
Well, you see, Terrence, Universal this year has the Super Mario Brothers movie coming out.
Okay.
And there's a series of pipes throughout the park.
That is true.
If you go down, you'll just come up, because all of this is going to be connected. That's how these characters are warping around this island.
He would be in one scene, like his assistant was in one scene with the bad guy, and then the next scene he's right with him. I'm like, how did he get there?
with dinosaurs and fiery locusts and the movie crescendos with I'm gonna light all the locusts on fire to cover my tracks.
Start the fiery plague of hell.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we're about to get into the this is a little on the nose, Colin. Yeah. Obviously the locusts all get out and fire rains down on the dinosaurs. We then have to watch the Giga Dinosaur, the Joker, as Colin Trevorrow said once, just like Batman and the Joker. And, unlike Jurassic Park, which I really was invested in, like the raptors fighting the T-Rex to get them out. we now have this like Giga Rex and this T-Rex and this third dinosaur fighting while they get to the helicopter. Then when they get out, we keep watching them fight. And a part of me was like, I get it. Dinosaurs fighting is fun, and it's kind of why most of us are here.
Yeah.
But the people I care about are gone. And I don't really care which one of these dinosaurs controls the park.
None of these are relevant to me because we're not coming back to this park. I don't care if all of them die.
I also was very surprised that we figured out how to kill all the locusts. And then we were like, we'll just live with the dinosaurs. And I was like, well, couldn't Dr. Wu, and I know this, but like bugs and animals for some reason are different, where it's like, we can kill the bugs, but we can't hurt the animals. I say as a big animal rights person, I agree that we shouldn't hurt the animals, but I was just very surprised that the technology to kill a species exists and that nobody was like, should we just wipe out the dinosaurs now?
I don't, I was very, conclusion wasn't like, the alternative wasn't, hey, we should just live with them. I was like, how about we just kill them all? Like, we should just go back to the way we were, guys.
Yeah, and we do this again, just like, why didn't you lean into how goofy it is? We do this like Lion King ending where there's a sunset and like silhouettes of gazelles,
you see gazelles
and triceratops. And I was like, okay, I have thousands of problems.
I just saw elephants and triceratops walking together. I'm like, oh, fuck you.
Like, fine, put all the plant eaters. I saw the land before time. The plant eaters are going to be nice. They're going to play fine. When she's feeding the little baby raptor by the fish, I was like, no. That's you've spent. Let's see. I was 4 when Jurassic Park came out. It was 1993. I was 4. I'm now 33. You spent that entire chunk of my life telling me that those are apex predators.
Right.
And we're going to end with being like, actually,
not
if
a
you
pet.
just walk up slowly with bread, it's like a duck. Like,
not a pet.
I shocked because I just, so many storytelling doors were opened after the second one, which I also didn't like, but I was like, great, let's get weird.
If we're going into this weird stuff, let's do it. Give me some Planet of the Apes with dinosaurs. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, fine. Why isn't that it? Why aren't we now just killing everybody? A lot of like shaky cam action that I was like, just get it on sticks, show me what's happening. The scope of the dinosaurs doesn't feel impressive anymore. There was not, but like there were some small parts that I liked.
I like the flight. I like the flight sequence. I like them being in the plane with them getting knocked down. Didn't particularly care for the way her falling out of the sky with a parachute was shot, but I still like the idea of that.
Yeah, I liked that. You kind of lost me when it fell into the ice, and then they could just like run across the ice. And
then you defeat the purpose.
I was like, I'm pretty sure this would all
break. Like they're no longer in peril; they can just sprint across it.
Yeah. So I liked the swimming under the ice dinosaur. Was a lot of stuff that we put on the board to be like, isn't that cool? And sometimes I was like, it is cool.
That is cool. Yeah. Like the shot of Claire underwater with the one kind of just breathing in under. I was like, oh, that's a badass sequence.
That was great. But it's like I said, for everything like that, for every underwater raptor, there was laser cat. I point you with the laser and the raptors attack you.
That annoyed me so much.
I liked everything but the clone girl. I thought that was all great. I liked everything but the legacy characters, but I just didn't like the insects enough to keep caring.
I will say that I appreciate it because I think that's where everybody sort of goes. I was appreciative of Ellie and Alan Grant kind of getting their groove on.
Oh, our theater applauded.
Yeah, I think that's been a long time coming. So it was good to kind of see that. It just, there's a lot of muck to get to that point.
And it is interesting when we get into our like, but why today? And I'm like, well, money and the third one, and we like it. But it is very like evil corporation-y. It's very like today of like one thing's controlling and the conglomerates are getting too big. It felt like Biosyn was a few steps away from being Umbrella or Vought. really, really felt like I was like, Prim was like, yeah, Amazon. I could see them having some weird locusts that would eat some fields, and certainly would just be the Amazon crops going to the
Amazon
Amazon
just sends out a
fresh.
box to everybody's home. The world would be done. Like if people start
Oh
opening
yeah,
that box, that's a wrap.
they could. Yeah, they could decide. Well, I was like,
Yeah,
all right, this doesn't seem like too far fetched.
yeah.
But it's also just very trendy. I think now I keep saying that we've got to almost be done with it, but Top Gun, Ghostbusters, Halloween, Scream,
Oh, these
X
legacy
Men, we keep finding
legacy
a
sequels.
way.
Yeah,
Um, and it's interesting because then I think, to not just rant about the stuff in the movie, but I really do wonder then how it handles that nostalgia. Like we've now had it with Ghostbusters where we liked it and it builds on the story. But this is
well,
the third movie in like a sequel
that is,
reboot
yeah.
that's now, and like we had Ian in Lost Kingdom for a
Yeah, he was in there for a
minute.
moment. Yeah.
So what do you think when you compare it to these other like requels with Legacy? Are we too little too late, or should we
It's
have?
it's funny because I mean I think we all can we both at least agree that Ghostbusters did it correctly. And that but I think that helped it did it was almost a different genre for sure, but it also took its time. And I think what's weird now is a lot of it how the world and the audiences watch movies. That Jurassic Park one, they're very original. Took about an hour before you saw, like maybe about 45 minutes before you saw a T-Rex. You saw the planet eating dinosaurs, the docile dinosaurs. Before about 45 minutes, it was just us explaining the rules of this world and explaining everything. And you kind of just learn and like those characters. Whereas now we gotta beat you over there with some unnecessary action from start to keep your attention. And I think we've lost the ability to care about anybody in this Jurassic World series. If any of these people perished, which they don't, because that's another problem that I have. But the fact that no one passes is my issue, is an issue. But I think for this particular series, none of these characters really resonate with anybody. Like I don't think Owen connected, and some of that might be Owen didn't connect with me to begin with, but I think it might have gotten worse as we've attached
Oh,
Chris
he
Pratt's personal life
is.
on to this. Yeah,
I think he's just out of stuff to do in this series. Like, there's
yeah,
only so many times he can go save Blues, whatever. Like,
yeah.
there's
It's
like,
just they're just spinning our wheels with him. Claire had the most to do in this film, and I think she had the biggest arc. But I just think as a whole, with this series, it wasn't until this when you start getting the Ians, the Allens, and the Ellies back that you kind of just don't have a character attached to, and you do attach to those three, but it's not their franchise, so they're off the board for a great deal of this movie. And so this movie kind of just teeters back and forth on that. Yeah, nostalgia. Here's a shaving can. Here's this, and then new stuff. We got new stuff, and it never really finds its footing to say its own voice for Jurassic World or pay a direct homage and direct like give my flag to the folks. And so you play this weird middle ground that I think is the worst for wear. I think you need to choose one, and I think that might have been a better way to kind of go.
yeah, it's interesting because as we do more and more of these and we talk more and more about them, there's a part of me that's like, you do need the nostalgia and the story does need to continue. And when we see it done well in Scream 5 and the
Mm-hmm.
first Halloween 2018 and Ghostbusters and Spider-Man No Way Home, even, I go, well, this can work really well sometimes. And then I look at like Jurassic World, which, we go back to that first room in the first one, and like there's the banner, ooh, and in this one, there's the shaving can cream. And that's the kind of stuff to me where I'm like, all right, I get
I
it.
get it. Yeah.
I don't need reminders of where I am. I want you to kind of build on what was before.
Right.
And I think as much as I liked the legacy characters in this one, outside of Ian, there wasn't really a lot of like, we told you so. They're like,
Right.
and a part of me was like, pick up their arcs where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're right, it's not their franchise, but we're not handing it off because we didn't have them in the first one. So now we're sort of like doing this weird thing.
Yeah, because normally it's a passing the baton, but the baton's already been in their hand. They've been
Yeah,
running with it. Yeah.
so it was and I think that's where like the things I really liked in this were the daughter, are these my parents? Who am I? They are my parents. They're my family. I always am a sucker for that dumb, like, oh, they called me
Identity.
dad this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Into that, I liked the idea of the evil corporation and the takeover and the espionage. And I liked when the locusts were on fire, and I liked when we had to turn everything. Once we got to the third act, I was like, okay, I dig all of this. Everyone's together, and it makes me wish that the movie overall was more focused, because we're in like 4-5 different places at the start.
When you have this many characters, you're going to be all over the board if they're not together. So that's what happens for the majority of the beginning of this film.
Yeah, and I think once it was together and focused, it worked. And I think that's why you're getting this weird, as we always do, Rotten Tomatoes split, where the critics are like, I'm tired, this is dumb, I'm tired of nostalgia. And the audience, and people our age, are like, I am here to see the characters I loved as a child, and I want one more ride.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a funny balance, because like, I'm like, not everything I see needs to just be like, remember when you were young? But
remember berries? Yeah.
I want some of it, I guess. And I think that's even where the franchise was confused.
I also just don't want to feel insulted when it's doing it, because here, like we mentioned, like the lights cutting off and like the Ellie and Claire having to go down. That's a direct homage to the original by itself. We don't need anything else. We don't need a sign pointing us like, hey guys, this is Jurassic Park. But then you get the shaving can and him going through this thing and the spitters coming. I'm like, all right, guys, I stop.
It's also, like you said, this isn't the first Jurassic World, it's the third one.
Right.
So for them to still like Force Awakens, super nostalgic movie. We're seeing the Falcon and the lightsabers, and we're redoing some of the shots, and there's a Death Star. And like, not the best example, but by the time we got to Rise of Skywalker, or even like The Last Jedi, it was like, we all know that you know that stuff.
Right. We're doing
so we're gonna run.
Yeah.
Like when you get to like The Mandalorian, we're not really, every now and then you'll get like something like, oh, they're building the Naboo starfighters here. Awesome. But like Ghostbusters was the same way. Like I felt like they showed me a lot of stuff, but they never pounded me over the head with it. It was just like a continuation of that world. Yeah. We just kept going. Where this feels like we stopped, we started again, which is a very kind of weird way to explain it. But I'm like, we just picked up where everybody was,
right?
Rather than building out these weird worlds.
What they will come, yeah.
But clearly other people love it. It's got a huge audience score.
The cinema score was an A- for this, which is quite good. Yeah. So there's an audience that does enjoy this. People have asked me consistently, like, what did you think? Should I go see it? And I was like, if you're a completist, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, I think you should go watch it. Don't listen to me. It wasn't my cup of tea, but there's clearly people who are digging this flick.
Oh yeah, and I think it is like, it's fun. Like I would definitely I wasn't mad, right? Like I've seen movies and walked out and been like, that was a waste of 2 hours. I walked out of this and was laughing more than anything. It was like, well, that was a great time in IMAX, and I'm never gonna watch it again.
I do think this film has the unfortunate just timing of being the first summer action film after Top Gun 2, which was a treat,
incredible,
which was a joy. So like my level of like what you have to kind of do is a little higher. Well, it was a little higher, and so for this, I'm kind of like, well, yeah. I mean, that was fine. It's no Top Gun 2, but this will
right.
Do it.
And then box office wise, obviously dinosaurs. I said on our Top Gun episode, airplanes and dinosaurs. We love them. We're dumb dumbs. 143 million. Behind Jurassic World 2's 148, and even further behind Jurassic World 1's 208. Those are opening weekends, not final, and they're domestic.
But we do notice a trajectory. Now, granted, this one's a little weird because of its pandemic numbers, although you kind of got to call BS on that if Top Gun did what it did before. But the numbers are going to be a little bit lower. But there's clearly a downward trajectory.
A return on it, yeah.
Yeah. And so at some point, it's either going to be an A. They are all saying that this is the final. We know that ride's going to exist forever. They're going to at some day point be like, hey, we either got to get rid of this ride or we got to make another film. And I think that's going to probably be the way that they go, is to make another film. So I don't think this is over. There should be some time that occurs, a long period of time, at least. I'd say we get in that 8 to 10 year range for this, because this needs to sit on the shelf for a while. I think they've milked this for three middle of the road films. I don't think anybody ever goes back to either of these films in this Jurassic World series and kind of like, hey, let's go pop on Jurassic World, where people often pop on Jurassic Park.
I
Even
know a
Lost
lot
World.
of yeah, a lot of people like the Lost World.
Mhm.
I don't. I really just stop at the first one myself,
Same,
but
same.
I know a lot of people who love Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World. I don't know anybody who has
I don't know
much
anyone.
kindness for that
Yeah,
second one.
correct.
But yeah, it's like I said, we spent a lot of time talking about the goofy stuff, but there was some stuff that worked. It's like I said, one good thing, two just
Two steps
eye
back.
rolling,
Yeah,
stupid,
yeah.
insane. I think the bug thing is either going to work for you or it turns you off
And it's going to
entirely.
completely hate. Yeah, you're going to either be in or out based on that, and that's going to completely change your trajectory, or if you can even allow this movie to be something you want to continue on with, because that's going to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think now when I wonder if I want more, and I'm like, obviously, if there's going to be a big IMAX trailer with big dinosaurs, I'm going to be like, let's go and see what they're doing.
Play those damn chords again. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
let's go
I'm
back
like,
to this park.
I'm a sucker, just like everybody else is.
Yeah.
Just play the song I like, and I'll be there. I really liked what Colin Trevorrow said, though, of if we do keep going, he was like, there has to just be some like young person who sees this world in like a unique way and can do something different. And I was like, yes. And I hope that it is exactly what I've been saying, where we're now just going to take twist genres and just toss a dinosaur in it. Mm-hmm. This is now the only place where I'm like, you could just make any stupid movie, any genre, anything at all. You could make another Top Gun and be like, well, you know, the boat you were landing on just got ate by a water dinosaur. Exactly. And I would be like, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Like there are big dinosaurs and small dinosaurs and flying ones and water ones. And I'm like, yes, this is now like as close to live action Pokemon as we're going to get, where there's just insane creatures everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And Justice Smith is here too. So let's do it.
I just want some dumb, like Clerks movie where they're like on their way to work stuck in traffic and it's like, oh, the dinosaurs stepped on it. Oh no. Yeah. Here's like, I want to see, like with the MCU where I'm like, I want to see damage control and the weird nonsense we have to make. I want to see the dumb dinosaur insurance people. I want to see the criminals who are stealing them.
Well, we've always seen in each of the 6 films, we've always seen how this affects people on a park or at some type of an island, like a secluded area where it's kind of people go to and then chaos ensues. Let's flip that, and let's, like how we did with King Kong, we just let King Kong loose on the middle of a city. Let's see what happens with these dinosaurs, and then humans have to revolve around this.
That's sort of Lost World too. Like that's a very King Kong-y. We get the
back
dinosaur
end of that. Yeah,
there.
that's true. Yeah,
I want that, but it's like happening every day. What I want is like, okay, I think one of the original scripts for Jurassic Park 4 opened with like a baseball game, like a raptor just ran it and attacked somebody. I was like, that's what I want.
Well, like the shot that we got in the trailer for this, at the movie, when people were at the drive-in, that wasn't in this, but I would have loved to have seen that.
Like all those things that go viral on Twitter, like remake a movie with the Muppets. I want Jurassic Park to now become like remake a movie with a dinosaur. I want Angels in the Outfield with a dinosaur. I want Casablanca with 2 dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I now am just like, this is what I want. If we're going to do this, this is what I want. I want A Few Good Men with a dinosaur.
Ocean's 11 with like 10 or 11 dinosaurs.
I want to be dropped media res into a like Friday the 13th style movie. And there's like, we're already down to the final girl. And then like, not only is Jason there, there's a raptor.
It's kind of like what I think it's Army of the Dead, the most recent Zack Snyder like zombie movie, but it's like they're doing a casino heist in Vegas with
zombies. That's exactly what I want. I want Ocean's 11 with a dinosaur. I don't know why that's complicated. I don't know, because like even in this one, they were like, we've decided the Biosyn Island will just be a habitat. I was like, oh, so that's just where Jurassic Park 7.
That's another park now.
That just is like it. Also, why aren't there thousands of Jurassic Parks now? Why aren't like they're everywhere? Obviously, there's going to be somebody who's like, I've rounded up 30 of them, and I'm going to make one. And like Six Flags, there's just going to be one in every state.
Yeah.
Why? Well, like, let's get as dumb as we can. It's like how you about Fast and the Furious, where I'm like, let's just get as dumb as we can.
Just go bonkers. Like this is a series that needs to go bonkers because they've now become become stale.
Bonkers. There's dinosaurs everywhere now. Yeah. It's bonkers. Oh man, I mean, it started bonkers when Vincent D'Onofrio was like, "We're gonna train raptors for Iraq." I was like, "What?"
I'm sorry, you're doing what now? All right.
I mean, so that's Jurassic World 3 Dominion. It's so strange. It's such a
It's a
strange movie
weird
because it's
movie.
so close to me being
There's
like,
some
it's awesome.
there's some fun highs and there's some like, what? How the hell did you go this way, lows?
Yeah, it really is. It's a roller coaster of just nonsense.
Yeah.
But that's it. You can leave us a review. You can follow the podcast at Hollywood ADI on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at, as always, Blake. Terrence is at Terrence Tatum. We also have the Marvel Parrot podcast, where we're doing all of the Disney Plus MCU shows and the history of the film genre it's in. And Terrence does our YouTube channel, which has trailer reactions and show-by-show reviews for so many shows. I assume The Boys will be on there soon.
Not The Boys, but there is a Jeff Bridges film show called Old Man that's on FX that I will be starting, I think, in a week or two, which looks like a good time.
Great. And we will see everybody next week for Lightyear.
Yes.
That's going to be a fun one to talk about.
It will be.
Because I have so many insane questions that don't matter. And that's the point of the questions. They don't matter. Because I'm already seeing people who are like, well, why isn't the cat in Toy Story? Well, it's because Toy Story came out in the 90s.
I hate people.
And they're making, we'll save it for next week. I love the real world answer. That one was harder to find. Love it. Great answer. All right. We'll see everybody next week.